Welcome to the Parks and Rec Committee meeting. Let's have a roll call, please. Vicki?
Commissioner Porter?
Here.
Commissioner Casals?
Here.
Commissioner Paula?
Here.
Mr. Frazee?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Davis? Mr. Martin? Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Mr. Salguero?
Here.
Thank you, Vicki. Next, on the agenda tonight, we're going to remove number 8, the discussion regarding the installation of the diving board at the Aquatic Center. And we will start with the approval of minutes on May 16th.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Next topic is discussion and recommendation regarding Colonial Park golf course rates. Mr. Howell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm actually going to turn it over to Mr. Ockett with the Touchstone.
Welcome, Keaton.
Hello, everyone. So we've been taking a look at pricing for a little while now, and in front of you, I think I have the pricing structure. It's prices on our end, supplies, goods, gas. I mean, kind of the sky's the limit there. Everything is increased, and I don't believe, Justin and we talked about this, I'm not sure if the city has increased pricing on the golf course side since they purchased in 2011. Do we know that answer?
2017?
So 2007. So it's been 5 years since we've had a price increase. With that, we're not talking about a ton of money when you're looking at your 18-hole rates. It's a $5 increase on your round, whether you play during the week or whether you're playing on the weekends. We wanted to add in some more discounts. And the reason you do a twilight or a super twilight, and what that is twilight rates are from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Super twilight is after 4 p.m. You're trying to move some of that traffic, people that might want to save a little bit more money on golf, kind of fill in those later afternoon time slots. Right now, you can go to the golf course on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It's tough to play before 2 p.m. We're packed. I mean, it's wall-to-wall golfers. This just allows us to better fill the tee sheet and the day, and you're not putting all of your people on the golf course within a 5-hour, 6-hour window. You're trying to spread that out over the whole day. We've got staffing there all day. It's going to make better use of our time and our money, and I think overall it'll actually fill up the golf course. Looking over the different rates, we've never had, when it comes to a discount for seniors or military during the week. We wanted to add a military, that discount would be for active duty and for veterans. We wouldn't have that across the board. Cart rentals, we wanted to stay the same. They are a little high. They've stayed the same from across the board. We've looked at a ton of other golf courses. We didn't want to touch the cart rate itself. We would like to offer, if you're a member of Colonial Park Golf Course, we'd like to offer a discount if you have your own cart. That's been a question that we've been approached with multiple times at the golf course. We own our own cart. Can we get a discount if we bring our own cart out there? And so we are going to allot a $2 discount on 18 holes and $1 on 9. The way we look at it is we have to pay for those carts whether they're going out on the golf course or not. So we pay for a leased payment. Ideally, through Touchstone, in a perfect world at the golf courses they have, we wouldn't allow outside carts. I think it's different. I think Colonial's always had outside carts, and people like to put their own sound systems into them and kind of customize them, drive them from their house. And so we don't want to eliminate that by any means. Give them a little bit of an incentive if they have a membership with us to give them that discount. We have a few memberships that we want to remove. We have a 6-month membership. It's a discounted membership, but it's something that we feel that we're losing money on. When people are using that for when the course is in its best condition. And then we have a punch card, and we also would like to remove the punch card from what we're looking at as far as the rates and everything go. Yearly memberships, we've kind of bumped those up just a hair. Single memberships, we've raised those to 900 is what we're looking for. Family memberships, which includes 2 adults and two kids, moving that to 1,300. Your senior membership, we wanted to change this a little bit. Wanted to raise it to 600, but protect our prime times. That's one of our cheapest memberships. And when you look at the average rate that our seniors pay when they're out there, it's less than $2 around. And so we still want to keep those. But we put some restrictions on there. They can only play Monday through Friday, or before 8 or after 12 on Saturdays and Sundays. They would have the option to purchase the $800 membership, which would give them any time. They could play anytime they wanted. And that would be, just give them a little more flexibility. And then the senior couples membership, again, that would raise just a little bit. That's 2 seniors in the same household to be able to come out and play year-round. And then they would have the same restrictions, just couldn't book before, between the hours of 8 and 12 on Saturdays and Sundays. We also, with all of our membership rounds, we would like to add in that 10% discount on all merchandise. That would include accessories, shirts, hats, golf clubs, just a little bit more incentive for them to have a membership, and then it gives them, more options to have access to some of the stuff we have in the pro shop. On the back sheet, there's a lot of details in there. We called a bunch of golf courses, pull up their onlines, rates, structures, what they have as far as memberships, cart fees. On the second page, it has, maybe some of their, if they do private carts, what they charge for private carts, range balls. Across the board, from what you can see on our rate structure towards the right-hand side, we're not going up that much more than what everybody else is. The city has put a lot of money into the golf course with the irrigation project, the pump station, the lake. We're in really good condition and looking to get better on a weekly, monthly basis. Excited where the course is going. The greens have all really come back 1 through 4. We verticut them this last week, and they're turning around as well. Grass coverage is looking better. They're rolling well. Now it's just concentrating on maintaining, grooming, keeping the weeds out of the golf course, and just growing grass.
Thank you, Keaton.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the punch card.
Right now it's 29 hole rounds for $150. So it's just a discount on the actual rate. That's why we tried to introduce the senior, and the military rates to kind of combat those. You still can get discounts depending on when you want to play or different days of the week. But what we're trying to do again is just trying to protect those prime times. Everybody was getting all of those discounts, whether it was memberships, whether it was a 6-month membership or whatever, and they would come in on a weekend, and that's really where they were making the most savings. We still wanted to give some savings, just not put it all in that prime time, protect that play.
Thank you. I have a couple questions as well.
Yes.
Most of our weekend play right now is in that prime time area is coming from military folks. As you know, the golf course on base isn't in good shape at all.
Right.
So have you given any thought of maybe giving a military discount on the weekends during twilight so that we can move them from the prime time to the afternoon?
Yes, and we talked about it, and this can all be tweaked. I mean, this was kind of the things that we thought about right before we came over. Brian and I met, which is my boss, and we kind of talked over it, and we did say, being that we're putting that allotment before 8 a.m., after 12 p.m., we could probably do the same thing for your senior/military rate as well. And I think that would come along. I think the rate would need to be a little bit higher, but again, show some savings, show a 10% or a 15% savings.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of people that ask if we have it. I don't think it's a deal breaker, but being in a military town, I don't see why we wouldn't have something like that.
Sure. And then the annual membership, I know when we had talked before, we talked about doing a military annual membership as well, because for a military member to get to the $900 now would take them many more rounds than it would a standard member, right? So they actually have to play more rounds to get to the same discount that a regular member would,
Yeah.
right?
And we can add that in there. We were trying to simplify the memberships. I think we could add a certain percentage off if you were military. I don't think you would add a different membership. It'd still be a single, and we could do something, again, a 10% or a
But,
15%.
I mean, you could figure out what that percentage is and then
And just
offer
take that off the membership.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then with the seniors, did you give any thought to maybe doing super senior as well? Because, I mean, we got people out there that are playing that are over 80, right? And they're not, some of them do play a lot around still, but I mean, they've given quite a bit to the community, and we're talking about onesie twosies versus the majority of the folks that play every single day, right?
Right. It hasn't been something that Touchstone has done. I don't see why we couldn't look at it. I think as a whole, Touchstone was trying to get away from labeling them seniors, or they would rather do a Monday through Friday membership and a all-inclusive membership versus trying to put people in different categories and saying you can't play this time versus this time. And so it would be how you guys want, how Parks and Rec and then the City Commission wanted to structure it at that point. I mean, I think that would be definitely a conversation, what that looks like, and would that membership, again, I think would have to be kind of a Monday through Friday. You want to protect those prime times, not before 8 and after, or before 8 and after 12.
I don't love the idea of putting out so many different categories that it gets confusing.
Yeah.
I like the simplicity.
That's what we were
And maybe
trying to
even
do.
adding a couple people to a certain, like, senior 60, play anytime / military, something like that, rather
Right.
than just creating more and more and more categories.
Or a category gets a certain percentage off of one of the memberships. So you're not adding a whole other category. You're just saying
Right.
if you fall in this category, you get
There you go.
this
Yeah.
off. And
Yeah.
I think that's very doable.
Okay. And then we had talked about range balls. You were wanting to do away with the
Range pass.
with the range pass. I didn't see that on the sheet here. Did you come
Put
up
that
with
on there.
that?
No, it is, yes. So the range pass right now is $40. It's unlimited. We just have a lot of people taking advantage of it right now. They're coming in, one person pays for $40 and they're getting multiple buckets and they're taking them out and letting family members hit them and friends hit them. And we're losing money across the board.
Ruin it for the rest of us.
I know. So what we're looking at is just doing a card where you come in and you load a card for $50, and if you load $50 on there, you get an extra $15 on there in range balls, and then if you load $100 on there, we give you an extra $25. And so you're loading a card that you can go to our ball machine and get golf balls at any time. I mean, so if you got there before we even opened, or say we closed early due to weather and the weather cleared out and you wanted to hit range balls, you can go to the ball machine, you can get your golf balls straight from there. But we would give people an incentive. The more money they put on their card, the more range balls they would actually get. It would incentivize them. We'll still have the buckets. Our pricing wasn't going to change on the buckets. It was still going to be the same pricing we currently have. But this would just allow us to track it better. People couldn't be giving people range balls. I mean, it's got to go through machines. So I think we're going to track that money, and again, that money goes back to the city.
Is the machine working again?
The machine's working. The software and machine aren't working together right now.
Okay.
I have a ticket in. I'm hoping in the next week. They told me last week they would have it running, and they didn't. But I would say in the next week or so I should be up and running.
Okay.
And then just one final question. I like the fact that we're looking at, the individual carts getting a discount. Do we think the $2 is enough? Because after the numbers that you provided, I did some spreadsheet work, and it looks like we made $8.77 on a cart out of the carts that we have for that entire month of May.
Right.
And so now we're making, close to six and a quarter on those individuals at $15 a piece that have their own cart.
Right.
So we're putting an awful big onus on those folks that have their own cart. Is 15 the right number, or can we come down just maybe just a little bit more?
Again, I think that would be a decision on your end. When we were talking with the budget, the thing we look at the most is trying to not have the city subsidize the course as much, and that's the goal in the end. And the long term is for the golf course to break even make money at some point. So the more discounts we give, the less we're taking away from that. And so to me, it's a struggle. Where do you find that money? I mean, obviously, you get more people out there, more rounds, more revenue, and you're going to make up for that. I try not to take money going the other direction, and that's the concern. Another dollar off, maybe that's doable. You're not going to impact the numbers if you think these guys that have their own carts. The concern would be you give this incentive, now more people are going to buy memberships, and then they're going to start bringing their own carts. And so where does it stop? And I think that's always the question. A lot of golf courses just say no outside carts. You're going to use our carts, and it's clean and simple, and it doesn't bring in all these other scenarios. The concern would be if we give too much of a discount, it entices other people to go out and get their own carts, and then we're still paying for those rentals in the barn, and so then more revenue is walking away at that point. I don't necessarily know if we know the right answer there.
I think it's a valid point. And I mean, I'm happy with the $15. It still shows that we're looking at it.
Something.
And it's something. Then, I thought we were talking about members were maybe getting a discount on their cart as well, if they didn't have their own cart, or is that something that we decided not to?
That was something that we looked at it again and just started adding everything up, and we started adding how many members went out and how many carts went out, and it just got to be too much. So that's why we stuck with just if you were a member and you had your own cart,
Okay.
is where you got the discount. That's where we fell on. And again, things can be tweaked and changed.
No,
however
thank you.
You guys
I
see
appreciate
fit.
it.
So.
Keaton, I have a question for you. We had talked in our tour about maintaining fees weekday and weekend and separating them. I see on here that it looks like Touchstone decided that maybe a flat fee across the week was not a good option for you guys?
Well, I'm not sure. There's a lot of courses that do it. The reason that courses don't do it is you're trying to give that lower rate and bring more play in during the week. Because right now, most of your play is on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Weekday play is down then?
It's down. When you compare it to a weekend, yes. And so that's why you bring in the Twilight, Super Twilight. You try to bring people and you try to spread them out throughout the day a little bit more. And then same thing, having a little bit less expensive round during the week, get people, hey, maybe I won't go out on the weekend, I'll play during the week, but they still play golf that week. Or maybe they play twice that week because they save a little bit of money versus only coming once on the weekend. Okay. Again, it could go either way. There are courses that are doing it. There's quite a few that are doing a flat rate. It's all been done the same for so long. I'd be afraid to change too much and frustrate people. I mean, bottom line, we don't want to lose any golfers. We don't want to lose anybody. We don't want to upset anybody. Costs are going up, and so we feel that to help the city get closer to that break-even number at some point, this has to happen. And whether it happens now or whether it happens in 2 or 3 years, there's still money being invested in this golf course, and so I think the numbers have to go up at some point.
Well, Keaton, I don't think any of us can disagree that prices have gone up, costs have gone up. I mean, look at just the wage increase in the state of New Mexico. I mean, that right there, and the cost, you're just going to have to charge more. There's no way around it in order to ever break even.
A golfer's a golfer, no matter. They're going to pay.
Well, I think we have to be prudent also in what we charge. But So, do we need a vote on this, or are we just recommending?
And Madam Chair, I just had one question too, and I know that Keaton, we had talked about memberships and other benefits of being memberships, maybe from, you have on here the 10% discount on all merchandise. Are they also going to be able to have advanced booking for tee times?
Yes, sorry, I didn't talk about that. Yes, we talked about doing a 10-day, so they'd they'd be able to book 10 days in advance, and your normal play is 7 days. So your normal public play can book 7 days in advance. With the membership, you'll be allowed to book 10 days in advance.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would be another thing. Other thing, and not in pricing, but it's something we've been talking with the commissioners about, is we get a lot of people that book tee times that don't cancel, and so at some point we have to consider looking at taking a credit card for these payments. The last thing we want to do is charge somebody if they don't show up for a tee time. So there would be warnings and there would be processes behind it. But what we have right now is we have a lot of people that book a foursome and only show up with a twosome, and it happens a lot during our prime time, and they do that because they don't want to play with anybody else. They don't want to be paired up. They want to play by themselves. They're not comfortable. Maybe they don't play a ton of golf. And so what's happening is they're showing up and they're only bringing 2 people when I could have put two more people in that slot, and the phones are ringing off the hook, and we're telling them, okay, I don't have tea time till 2 or 2:30 or 2:45 or, whatever it is, by doing that, we could say, well, if you're not gonna bring 4, you're gonna have to pay for those 2 slots, and it wouldn't be a full price type deal, it would be a $10 fee or a $15 fee, or, whatever is decided at that point. But what it'll do is it'll hold people accountable for, if you book 4, you need to bring 4. And if you're not gonna bring 4, call and tell us so we can cancel those 2, and then we'll put 2 other people with you at that point. We're losing spots left and right, and that's revenue loss for the city.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of courses out there that charge you full rate.
Correct. I mean, we wouldn't do that. I mean, I think, again, at the point, the last thing we want to do is frustrate people. Last thing we want to do is people not to come out there. I think it would just start people realizing that, we've got to do what every other course does. And once they got it, it would be easy. It would take care of the problem.
So are you looking at a timeline for that process, the cancellation penalty?
We've been talking about it for a while. I would love to implement ASAP. Rate structure we're looking at, we would love to go August 1st.
Okay.
And so, Madam Chair, what I'd recommend for this evening is, first, let's get some clarification. So are we for the senior, we're going to call it the plus rate, or no? Or we want to stick with how the seniors have been presented this evening?
Why don't you explain again what the recommendation was on the senior plus?
So it's for our members that play out there, our super
Super
seniors,
senior.
right? So,
There we go.
I mean, you could even go as high as 85, right? I'll give you a perfect example. Andy Knight plays Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's the only time during the week that he plays. He comes out and plays with us at the 11:30 group. He's 93 years old, right? I mean, he's given a lot to the community. He's given a lot to just being alive. I hope I'm playing golf when I'm 93 years old. But that question has been asked by 2 separate seniors to me, super seniors, so 85 or they're probably 80 or higher, of can we do a discount? So we could simply have the rate that we currently have with a discount for the super seniors, right? The same way that we're talking about doing a discount for the military for the single rate and the family rate, right?
So say if you did the military and you said 10% off the single rate, then that would be the same rate for a super senior.
I mean, I think that
Just
would
an
be, I
example.
think that'd be fair.
I think so.
And I think we still need to figure out what the actual percentage is, right? So what is that for a single person versus a military rate person to go out and play? Because it was, when I figured it up before, it was like 59 rounds for a regular rate, and then if for a military person, it would have taken like 65 rounds.
Right.
So we want to get that back down to where it's the same amount of rounds to recoup your money.
And 10% would recoup. It'd be a little more than that probably.
Be
but it
just
would
a little
recoup-
more, yeah.
I think they would recoup that at that point.
And you're talking about making the super senior rate only for the membership, not for going out and playing?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
Okay,
Just for membership.
gotcha.
And then
at
we were
age,
also-
80 or 85, as I sit here and take notes.
82 and a half.
85,
82 and a half. We'll split the difference.
2.5. I mean, I'm good with 85. Okay. If everybody else is.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And then we were also talking about doing the twilight on the weekends for the military, giving them the reduced rate so that we can move those. Right now, we have a lot of military folks that are coming out to play, a lot of singles and doubles that are coming out to play at prime time.
Yep.
And it took us 4 holes to play through a FISM this past Sunday. And it slowed us down by a half hour, right? So if we can get those folks to move to the later afternoon time because they're getting a reduced rate, that would significantly help us. And I think they were mostly military in that particular group.
I think you would just add what we have for your senior military rates that you have right there. I know it says just weekdays, Monday through Friday. I think you would do Saturdays, Sundays,
Twilight.
before 8 or after 12.
Perfect. Yep.
I think you would still open it up just like you're doing for your senior members if they do that one membership. You're just protecting those prime times. That's all we're trying to do. And that they could come after 12 or they could come before 8.
And I think that helps what you're trying to do, which is get people out of the prime time.
Correct.
Wait, you're saying the senior military you would move to after 12? I thought it'd be after 2.
No,
Yeah.
we're doing 12, I think, aren't we? I haven't-
Yeah,
Well,
so
Twilight's 2.
Well, Twilight's 2, but with if you see on your memberships, your senior plus down here and your senior couple, we have it before 8 or after 12. We had recommended 2 originally. I mean, Twilight is 2, but really we're full until about 1 o'clock. So if you did 12, it still gives them the option to be able to book some of those.
Well,
12,
but rather
12:30.
than doing a whole separate, why not just put it right here where it says senior military, weekdays, Monday through
Yep.
Friday, and then you could say, or weekends, twilight
Or
rate.
before 8
Before
or
8 or
after.
after 12.
I mean,
That's
when
what we were saying. So just add that line. And I'm okay with 2 as well. I don't
I
care.
like, I like 2. I mean,
whatever
we're
you
trying
guys-
to get
do
them
you
out
like
I
of
would
two?
say twilight.
Okay.
Twilight, they
That's what
get,
I agree.
well, but then it turns into the same price as no, it doesn't,
No,
sorry.
no, it's still
Yeah,
cheaper.
okay.
So we're gonna be at 2 o'clock for
Yes.
that one?
Yes.
Okay.
So to me, to make this simpler, we really should move your senior membership and your senior couple membership to after 2 as well, just to keep everything consistent, not 12.
No,
I'm
I
good with
think
that.
that's good.
Agree with that? That would
Yeah.
be my recommendation.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay,
So it's before 8 or after 2?
correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so let me see if I can summarize somewhat here what we've done. We are going to change the senior/military rate to include also twilight time frame after 2 o'clock. So weekdays, Monday through Friday, twilight, weekends after 2.
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday, yes. Then on Senior Plus, we're going to add, the next rate where it says Monday through Friday, weekends, holidays before 8 or after 2. And then same for senior couples, we're changing it from before 8 o'clock or after 2 p.m. And then we're adding a super senior rate for those 85 plus with the fee to be determined.
10% less.
10% off.
10% off, okay.
And this goes before the commission when?
At the July 20, what is it? No, we could take it July 7th. Yeah, commission meeting next week.
You need me to be here because I'm leaving town?
Or it could be at the July 21st city commission meeting.
Well, if it doesn't go into effect
It
till
goes in
August.
August 1st, exactly.
It
so-
goes August
Okay.
1st is what, so if you're okay with the second meeting, I would prefer that.
And
I
then
will be
tell me
here then.
again what we're doing for the military. Is it 10% off whatever they choose, whatever membership they choose?
I like that, and the other thing I didn't mention on the military, if they get orders, we will prorate and refund them.
Okay, I like that.
That was, it made
Nice.
sense to me. We got a lot of military, they're like, I could get orders in 8 months, and I don't know how that's gonna look. It just makes sense to me to be able to take care of them that way.
Prorate it and refund
Correct.
them. And I just did the math, the 10% works, so
Okay,
that's
okay,
fine.
good. And we'll write a separate membership package, and, I mean, that'll include all of these clauses and all the things we're talking about, and it'll be separate than this. I just kinda wanted to get it all on one page so you
Okay.
guys could see what
I
that
like
looks
it.
like.
Okay,
Can we get that early? Like before, a little ways before the meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
it'll cost you, but yes.
It'll cost you.
And then the other thing, we're eliminating punch cards, we're eliminating the 6-month memberships, we're eliminating the range passes and going to cards, and he'll have what those card structure fees look like for you.
so
as
if
well.
we're doing all this, can we go ahead and insert the cancellation penalty as well? I mean, if we're doing it, let's just do it
I
and
like
be
it.
done.
Would love
I
it.
like it.
Certainly.
Okay.
Okay.
To figure out that penalty.
I will.
I think it's higher than $10.
What they talked about originally was 15, but some courses do half of what the green fee is. So if the green fee is 43, it's half of that,
How long do you have to cancel?
24 hours.
Okay,
Now, again, it's all dependent on us. If a storm comes in that afternoon and you don't call and cancel your tea time, I'm not gonna, what we're trying to do is protect the prime time. You know, it's nice weather outside, you just didn't wanna call because you found something else to do or you decided to go play somewhere else. We're protecting those times. If there's something that happens, rainstorm comes in, we're not gonna charge anybody. That's not what we're looking for. It'll all be to discretion, and again, there'll be multiple warnings before that happens. Our goal is not to charge that. It's just
Bring
hold people a little bit accountable to realize that we're protecting that revenue and what we're trying
and
to
where
do
are we
there.
at with And maybe this has been figured out. Where are we at with standing tee times? Is that been all?
Yeah, and so
Camp-
that'll, when we put in the advanced tee time bookings for the members, then we'll do away with standing tee times.
Okay.
That'll give them the opportunity to get those tee times booked, but the responsibility is on them, not on the managers.
And they get an additional 3 days before the public?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
So essentially, when they're done playing golf one week, they can book for the next week.
Okay.
And I think, I know my group's been getting
Been
much
gr-
better.
been a lot better.
Much better at it.
Lot better.
And making sure that we know exactly how many people we're bringing out specifically,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so that, I know that's helped you guys a lot.
It has.
Okay.
And everybody's done, it has gone very smooth the last month and a half. It's been
Okay.
great. It's been great.
Keaton, I don't mean to stretch this out, but do you have the capability in your system to be able to keep track of your penalties of groups that are normal? Okay.
Just like no-shows. So right now I could track your no-shows. And so if you wanted a list of who no-shows me the most, I can get that for you. I mean, the system does it all for me. We just have to go in and mark it.
Beautiful.
And,
Okay.
and, you know, so we track all of that.
So are we looking for a motion with the recommended changes?
Okay.
Correct.
So made?
Do we have a second? Okay. We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, Keaton.
Yeah, Keaton,
Thank
thanks
you.
for the
Are
great
you guys
work.
ready for Friday? I see you have a big event. Okay.
That'd be good.
Well, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we have a music event coming. Sorry, I'll just take up all your time. Drake Hayes and I can't remember his buddy's name, but Drake has been an artist. He's based out of Lubbock. He's done quite a few shows here, Event Center, Pavilion, a couple different places. He's entertaining, but he kind of retired for a few years. And Stephanie, my events coordinator, is a friend of his and asked him to come out and see if he'd do an event for us. And so we're going to have burgers and hot dogs and brats, and we use our new patio furniture out on the patio, put up some tents, have some specials, and we're going to do music from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. And if it's going well, we're going to go till 10 p.m. We're good with that? Okay. So it should be a fun evening full of entertainment. I think John Curtis is going to come out and open for him. We talked to John the other day, and he's going to come out and do some music from like 6 to 7, and then Drake will come on at 7, and they'll play from 7 until.
Is it
everybody wants to
on the
go home.
east patio, or is it the patio that faces the?
It'll be on the patio where the pool used to be.
Oh,
So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
the northeast corner
Yes.
there where the pool used to be, and we'll get all that cleaned up. Wayne's been working really hard on the landscape out there and the flowers, and everything looks great.
looking
And
good.
so we'll get it all cleaned up, and it'll be a really neat event. So
And
hope
are there
everybody can come
tickets
out.
that have to be purchased, or it's a free event?
Free event.
Just- Okay,
Free event.
nice.
Just come on out and sit down and enjoy. And we're gonna close the restaurant at 5, just for staffing purposes, and everything will be over on the banquet side from 5 until we close.
Nice.
Very good.
We'll stay open until it's done.
Might have to swing by.
Do you want to brag about the first tee program that you had and the number of kids that came out?
So we had a ton, yeah. So we had the first tee. It's kind of the first full year that we've had first tee out there. We did 2 different sessions. We had a total of 58 kids total come out, which was just awesome. It's neat to see the kids out there. We're actually going to try to do another August session. We have their tournament coming up in August as well. It'll be a 4-man scramble. We'll have all that stuff on our website, and they're posted in the golf shop here in the next month or so for signups. But this program has been awesome. They came out. They did for Women's Day of Golf. They came out and they did science projects that were related to golf and turf and agronomy. And then we took them out on the putting green. We played some games, and just getting people interested in the game and to understand kind of what it's about and how to respect the golf course. And if we can get the program fully up and running, so the program's actually run out of Roswell. We work with Adrienne Field. She's the director of the First Tee of Southern New Mexico, and she's phenomenal. She really wants to help us obviously grow the game, do it for Clovis and the kids around the community, but it gets so much more than that. It teaches them values and help them with their schoolwork. And so our goal will be, just like all these other programs that they've kind of run from here, is we'll have programs throughout the week as well when school's starting. So after school gets out, the kids can come over and we'll have first tee sessions for them, as well. And so we'll start looking into that. We've got a 10-week session booked in September as well. And that'll be every Thursday starting at 4 p.m. and that'll go till 5:30. So we've got a lot of things for the kids right now, and I think it'll just continue to grow.
Well, great. Thank you, Keaton.
Awesome. Thanks,
Anyone else?
everyone.
Thanks for all the work on the course.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it. Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have discussion and action regarding the summer yard of the month. I see Miss Claire. Would you like to
I think Kelsey's on, is
see
she?
here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can. Hi, Kelsey.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Every summer, the City of Clovis, as part of our Keep Clovis Beautiful initiative, organizes a Yard of the Month contest to recognize residences and businesses for their outstanding yards and other spaces. The contest helps both beautify the Clovis community and promote Clovis pride. In the past years, there have been 3 rounds of the contest with 2 residences and 1 business from each of the 4 commission districts being recognized throughout the months of July, August, and September. The public submits nominations and then the commission selects winners from each district for each month. This year, we're proposing some changes to the contest in an effort to encourage residences and business owners to conserve water in our community. First, we would like to hold only 1 round of the contest this year with nominations taken until the end of July and winners recognized in August, just as a way to take some pressure off of residences and businesses to water. And next, we would like to add a xeriscape category this year to promote those sustainable landscaping elements throughout our community. And lastly, we would like the public to be able to vote for the winners of the contest. We tested this around the holidays with our holiday yard of the month, and we got a lot of response from the public voting. So we would set up a voting form so that the public could have some more engagement in who wins the contest, and also the residences and businesses that are nominated can help spread the word that this contest is going on and encourage the public to vote for them. It's worked very well with our holiday yard of the month, and we think it would work well for the summer as well. So then this year, overall, 8 residences and 2 businesses would be recognized within these categories. We would have 1 residence from each of the 4 commission districts, just kind of a regular yard, 1 xeriscaped residence from each district, 1 business overall throughout Clovis, and then 1 xeriscaped business overall. And so that would be 10 total people recognized, 8 residences, 2 businesses, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Kelsey, I have a question. Is there any concern that that's maybe a lot of just a lot of for people to vote on in a poll, 10 different?
It's actually less than what we normally have each month of the contest. We typically do 2 residences from each of the commission district and a business from each commission district each month. The way that we have the voting set up is just organized by each district, and it's not going to be too overwhelming for the public in how it's organized.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
I think it's gonna be easier on us. So I'm all for it.
Okay, is that a motion?
So me,
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, great. Kelsey, take it away.
Thank you.
All right, Kelsey, I think you're up next because we're going to discuss and have a recommendation regarding the Hillcrest Park Zoo logo.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. We have a PowerPoint for this one. I'm not sure if I can see it, so let me know if it's up. Oh,
Yes, we
perfect.
can see it.
So the Hillcrest Park, we are working on a new logo to rebrand the Hillcrest Park Zoo. Here in this first slide, we have the current signage of the park, which was a branding initiative several years ago. We organized a logo contest using the website 99 Designs, where graphic designers from across the country can submit their artwork. We use the same website for other city logos that we have, including the one for the Clovis Regional Airport and for the shooting range. It's a way to get a wide variety of designers to help really narrow down what we're looking for. Throughout this process, there was a particular logo that got all of our attention. If we can go to the next slide, you can see our proposed logo. This logo incorporates New Mexico and our giraffe, Jerica, who's one of the most friendly neighbors that we have in the, friendly neighbors, friendly animals that we have in the zoo. The logo also aligns with our brand colors that we developed through the City of Clovis's brand initiative. So it's a good cousin of that. The design is clean and has a playful feel, but it also feels both current and established. That's a little hard to explain what I mean, but our zoo has been around for a long time, and it's not so fresh and innovative that it looks like a brand new zoo. It kind of feels like this has been in Clovis for a while. The other logos on the next slides, please. These are just some other combinations to be paired with the full color logo that we had at first. If we, depending on what background you use or where this logo is going to appear, whether it be on a t-shirt, on a sticker, the side of a building, engraved in wood, as you can see at the top, you would have different solid color versions of this, particularly an all black version and an all white version. This logo would look well on uniforms, polos, gift shop materials, and more. And there's also an opportunity to take just the icon without the text and use that on wayfinding signage and other elements throughout Hillcrest Park, the zoo itself, to just have that overall cohesiveness throughout the park. We really like this logo. We think it fits how we are trying to portray the zoo, and we hope that you like it as well, and we can have your support of this new logo. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Kelsey, I have a question. I know when we went through this brand initiative, I thought we were branding everything to kind of look the same. And I know you said the colors resemble the brand, but you don't see the same logo that you see on, you know, the letterhead and the vehicles and things like that.
Correct. The way that we have justified it is within the city of Clovis, all of our departments have the same branding as the City of Clovis overall logo with the addition of their department name attached. For the departments and different entities and facilities that are aimed at getting the outside community or tourists to come and visit, something like the airport and the zoo, that it's okay if it doesn't look exactly like the City of Clovis logo, but we want it to be a part of a family in a sense. It's the same thing for the fire department and the police department. They have something different, but they're almost a separate entity within the City of Clovis as a whole. I like that the color scheme is incorporated into this to make it sort of a cousin. And anything that we do that's in partnership with the zoo, we can have the City of Clovis logo in addition to this.
Okay. And I like the giraffe on there. I think
It
that's
looks very
cute.
friendly.
Are there plans to redo the sign on Norris as well? Because
Yes.
that's hard to read.
Yes,
Okay.
we would do, once we have this finalized and established, we're going to do a complete rebrand of the zoo, a new website, revamp the Facebook page, all new signage, new gift shop items, polos, uniforms, the whole 9 yards.
Okay. And one more question, and then I'll let somebody else ask a question if they have one. Is it always been called, and I've lived here for 25 years, I should know this, is it always been called Hillcrest Park Zoo?
Yes.
Yep.
Because to me, it looks weird a little bit where it says Hillcrest, and underneath, I feel like it should almost just say zoo. Does anybody else see that? Where you see like Park Zoo? That looks.
Yeah.
Should the park be where it says Hillcrest Park and then underneath say zoo?
Kelsey, from a scale standpoint, how would that fit with Hillcrest and Park being on the top line and Zoo being on the bottom line?
I think we can definitely play with it. The way that 99 Designs works is if we are for this design, we have another couple of weeks to work with a designer and make any final tweaks that we want. So I can definitely reach out to them and have them play around with the wording and see what would look best.
I think if you did that, wouldn't you want to make Hillcrest Park the smaller font and Zoo the larger font?
Potentially.
Or you could just put zoo on the next line.
That's also an option.
Or you could put, while we're at it, or you could put Hillcrest up above New Mexico and put Park below it and then Zoo below that.
And how about a star where Clovis is?
Yeah, that's where I was going.
It'd be like an earring on the giraffe.
Yeah, it would be close, wouldn't it?
You did mention using the logo itself, the state and the giraffe independently of the words itself, right?
Yes, inside the zoo.
Okay.
So we're not trying to be Nike here and have just where people are gonna know what this icon means. But it would look very nice on a wayfinding signage that says reptile exhibit,
Park
on
bench.
doorways, on, various things throughout the park.
I like the
Signs.
simplicity of this logo.
I would like to see our location added to it.
Did you get that, Kelsey? So maybe
To have
potentially
a,
a star or something kind of locating where Clovis is in the
Okay.
state, inside the state.
okay,
And if I'm the only one that's confused by the Park Zoo on the bottom, I can live with that.
Well, I think we got a couple weeks to come up, they can come up with a couple different designs, and then we can probably vote on the final design, correct?
Yeah, and so what we could do is
Just need a vote today to
if
move
y'all are
forward,
good
right?
with this concept and vote on this concept, then we'll take it and with y'all's suggestions, make any tweaks or changes, and then ultimately it'll go to the city commission for final approval. But it would be some form of this concept.
Yeah, I like the giraffe.
Yeah, I do too.
We all like
And
giraffe.
can we possibly look, instead of maybe a star, do like a Zia symbol for where Clovis is instead too?
The detail may get us.
Yeah, it
And
might-
so if you're trying to put that on a polo, that's the other thing that we ought to keep in mind, is that when you get that level of detail, you're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Even a star, I think, on a polo is gonna be just a,
Yeah, it's
Blob.
gonna be
Dot,
hard
it'll be a
to,
dot,
yeah.
essentially. But if you start with a star, I mean, the smaller logo gets I just don't know, I agree, I don't know that we'd ever see the Zia until you got it,
Big enough to see?
yeah,
Right.
a big
Right,
poster
right.
board.
Okay, anyone else?
Now I'll make a nomination that we go with this concept.
Second.
Okay, wonderful. We have a
Motion.
motion and a second. Do we have, let's vote, I guess. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you, Kelsey.
thank you.
All right, next we've got discussion and action regarding the AYSO soccer program. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, actually, I want to be able to pass it along to Pat here.
Okay. Hello and welcome.
Good evening. My name is Pat Schneider. Most of you have seen me, excuse me, up here before. I do represent AYSO today and this evening. I do not represent as an area director. I am no longer in that position, so my time expired with that, and I'm not angry about it either. So I am here to represent the region. As I have talked with Mr. Russell and Ms. Claire in the past week or so, everything that we were trying to accomplish to get the region back up and going, with the exception of players, has basically failed. So to save you all some votes and other discussion, I'm here to officially announce that AYSO Region 319 will be closing, and that we will need some time to get our articles either sold and or off the property. However, that will take some time. I'm doing it by myself right now, so with y'all's permission, especially with Mr. Hooper, I would ask for up to a couple months, so basically the end of August, to get all our property removed some way, shape, or form, whether it's in the form of selling, getting it into a storage unit so we can get rid of it that way, whatever the case may be. So, the little quick background, the region's been here as AYSO since around 1984, I believe is when it was established. So with the cooperation of the city, many of you have been here when AYSO was developed or came around, and some of you were not, but the city has been very cooperative, and I'm here to say thank you for that on behalf of AYSO. I've been doing it for, I was just counting tonight, 13 years I've been with AYSO as a volunteer. It's been a tremendously grateful and very heartwarming cooperation with the city to have the field space that we've had. I didn't have time to dig up the number of players. I can literally say we've probably had well over 10,000 players over the course of those years. So, but as Mr. Russell and I were talking a little bit earlier with another gentleman, you know, the fees that you charge for the leasing of the fields and stuff like that. When I talked with others, when I was getting other training and stuff done through the national program, our fees were, people just, they're jaw-dropping at the fees that we had. So, in a good way, of course. So, and I'm not going to take a bunch of time. I will, again, save you all a bunch of discussion and voting and stuff like that to say that we will be closing. This is actually our first official public announcement. So, for those of you that are watching it on virtually and stuff like that, if we got any parents and players that are watching, we're sorry. We appreciate everything that everyone has had throughout the number of years. We really are. And I say we, I should say me, because I'm the only one that's a volunteer with the region right now. So, but it's been a fun ride. It really has. And again, we appreciate everything the city has done for us, the cooperation, the maintenance of the fields. Anytime we asked for something that was reasonable, y'all came through. And we can't express how much we appreciate that coming from a nonprofit organization. So I tried, failed. I won't say failed. We just couldn't accomplish it, maybe is the better way to put it. So maybe somewheres where, again, as I was talking with Mr. Russell, hopefully somewhere down the road that youth will get engaged with sports again, whether it's soccer, football, whatever the case may be. I think we've all had this discussion before. We've seen youth sports is going down. And so hopefully parents will get their kids back out there and start engaging in sports. So maybe somewhere down the road we can have two organizations doing soccer or whatever the case may be. So, but again, thank you all very much. Mr. Russell, I'll talk to you afterwards. We'll get something discussed, but thank you for all of you that are on the committee for everything we've done, and hopefully I don't have to stand up here again to say these not so good words. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Mr. Schneider, before you run off, I want to thank you, because volunteers like you are invaluable in this community.
Thank you.
And speaking from a parent who watched soccer games for about 16 years myself, I want to personally thank you, because
Thank you.
I never could have done, and my kids couldn't have accomplished everything that they've done without volunteers like you. So, and I don't think your organization is alone in their struggle to find volunteers at this point.
We're struggling nationwide.
Yeah.
There's no doubt
Absolutely,
about it. So.
absolutely. And there is still currently another program if someone's watching and does want to play soccer, correct?
Yeah, so we will, on our website, and any parents that contact us and stuff, we will definitely encourage them to CYSA by all means. So, and CYSA has shown some interest in some of our equipment, so that's going to help a lot. So, but yeah, no, again, appreciate everything from the cities. We really do. So, especially the time that when we started all the discussion. So, yes, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. And if you got any questions for me before
I think we're good. Anyone?
No,
It sounds like the city's going to work with you on the timeline, and that'll all be fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm guessing we don't really need to take action on that. Okay, very good. All right, the next are our parks updates. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, don't really have a whole lot. Obviously, we're doing a lot of mowing. The grass was growing. We get a rain, we're back to mowing some more. We had a few mowers down. We've gotten them up, back and going, so we were a little bit behind, but we've caught up. I think we've pretty staying ahead on all our weed maintenance, things along those lines. I know with the rains we've had, we just got the fogger working, so we should be doing some vector control here shortly. I'm not sure where they're starting. I know we need some in the zoo. I know we need some in some other places that were harder hits, I should say. But yeah, we're gonna get that going here pretty soon. Other than that, it's the middle of summer and we're trying to keep
You're busy.
Jamal's lights going, I think is what a lot of what we're doing. He's got a tournament coming up, so we've been working on some of these things like that. We've had a few tournaments come through on the weekends, or on Guy Leader, I think, had one a couple weeks ago. So we really been having some good turnouts on stuff. Gearhead Gathering, everything was set up, no damage on any of that for a change. And
Ouch.
no, it was a great event. It really was neat out there. We did our color run, and so we turned the grass purple and pink and everything else. We had a whole bunch of participants for the DH color run, so that was really a neat event that we did. And I'd like to encourage anybody. That's fun. I'd never seen one other than on TV. And now that I've found out you can actually walk it, I'm thinking about signing up next year. I'm just saying, I'm going to train between now and then. So, me and Claire, next year.
You're my trainer this year.
But no, that pretty much covers everything on park maintenance,
Okay.
unless anybody's got any.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Hooper?
Mr. Hooper, I just want to say, as part of the Dragon main event, the park was fantastic. It looked great. And I was excited to be out there and kind of showcase what maybe some people around the region hasn't seen before, which was the park. And you guys do a great job out there. Thank you for letting us use that.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Mr. Curry, I think you're up next. Do you have an update for us, a recreation update for us?
So yes, actually, we're trying to go away from our Sundays at the Roy Walker Gym. Right now, we're doing 12 until 5 p.m. I want to actually move that to Saturday and do like a 10 to 2. I think it'd be more beneficial to give people something to do on Saturdays, and also things that are more structured. Instead of having people in a gymnasium that's not really structured time for 6-7 hours, I think we can kind of maybe move that to Saturdays, and in place try to start putting in stuff like your group exercise classes. Also trying to have more sports and activities incorporated into the gym to get people more acquainted with what we actually have going over there. And also with our summer program, currently right now we have had 100 kids that came through the summer program through the first 3 weeks. Weekly, we're seeing anywhere from 65 to 70 kids a week, so that's pretty good. I want to thank Albertsons for donating snacks, and anyone who has given any kind of donations or put time or effort or came in to speak to the kids. We really appreciate that. And just trying to get more engagement with the youth. I think that's really important. And I think me and Russell have been having some conversations on some ways that we think we can improve that with doing things maybe like having an after-school program and, you know, kind of rolling everything on so it can be something that you have all year versus like spot program here, just kind of get kids acquainted to you're having things to do year round. So also, you know, just being able to, some of the older kids that have siblings that are participating, you can get those kids to volunteer and join in, and just different initiatives. It could be stuff like recycling or just, you know, giving back to the community. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. So are you, on the Roy Walker idea, is Roy Walker open on Saturday for?
No. So currently it's
not. Okay.
open Monday through Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
That's why I would like to take the Sunday and make it on Saturday. It's one of the first places I've been
Oh, I like that.
where
I do too.
a gym is not open on a Saturday. That's generally like your prime time.
Yeah.
So I think we should kind of start moving in that direction.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's great.
Anyone?
I have a question. Is the air conditioning working now?
Yes, it's been working pretty good. Sometimes it comes and goes, but currently for the last month and a half, 2 months, it's been working properly.
And you don't have children to just hang around, do you?
Um,
I mean,
you
I've
get
heard-
crowds here, you get little crowds here and there, but that's why another reason why I want to have more structured activity. Because if you have more structured activity, the people who are just hanging around, if they're not there doing a structured activity, it
Give 'em
kind of
something to do.
deters, vandalism or anything like that. So if you get more structure going on, you can kind of deter some of that.
you got good ideas. Thank you.
Yeah,
Of
really
course.
nice.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Have
Jamal.
you received any feedback or gathered any feedback on closing the gym on Sundays from the people?
So we have been asking guys that's coming on Sundays. Generally, they just want us time to play. We can possibly look into doing some things. I just want to have more structure. And if you still want to play, we're going to allow you the same time to play. If you can come on Saturday, why not? I really don't want to take it away from them, but if it's going to cause more problems than it can be than a solution, I'd rather try to do it that way.
You rather, I wasn't following what you,
Okay, so for instance, on Sunday right now, currently, if you coming from 12 until 5 p.m., that is a lot of unstructured time. It's nothing going on but pickup basketball. So if you're coming in to play pickup basketball for 6 hours, or you can have kids or just people just hanging out for 6 hours that's not structured, sometimes you don't get the most friendly people into the gym during that time. So I want to have it cut the time down a little bit, but also give it a little more earlier. So you can kind of, how can I say this? You can have a better crop of people coming into your facility, because on a Sunday from 12 until 5 p.m., that's not always the best crowd that you kind of want to be around. And if you have children, it's for the children or, the young people in the community, you want them to have a safe environment. So if you either structure that to having either a structured activity safe, as you do a adults league, because if you still want to play basketball, we can have an adult league for the adults, and you can have that for them, particularly on a Sunday, because it's structured. If you're going to have it unstructured, I'd rather have that time a little earlier and pushed up, if that makes sense.
what is your staffing like on Sundays?
Currently, we are running with one staff because we're not really fully staffed like we should be, and that also helps from a staffing standpoint as well, because it's less hours and it's earlier in the day.
I definitely understand the structure, but one of the, historically, Roy Walker on Sunday, it's open gym, and that's kind of the people love it for that unstructured. I know you don't want any, violence or, anything like that, but the idea to be able to go and play open gym on Sunday all day, some people love it, and a lot of people, there would be people upset. I say you were talking about like making a league or something. I think that may help out, but shutting down Roy Walker for open gym on Sunday, I don't think it wouldn't be popular to everyone.
Yeah, everything is also in the works. You can have conversations, you can tweak it and do the things you need to do. And if you are going to still allow that time, if you're going to say, hey, we're going to do a league for 8 weeks, and then you take a break, then you do another league or something like that, you're kind of taking something away, but you're also still giving it. So you're trying to appease both parties.
Definitely.
So I want to try your name one more time. Tori.
That'll work.
Yeah. I'm going to get it at some point. I have a couple of questions. One is, do you have a count of what you're averaging on Sundays as far as people in the building?
So currently, no, we don't have a system, like a counting system to actually do it. That's something else in the works later on that we would like to maybe start doing to be able to track who's coming in and out of the facility. From a safety standpoint, you need to know who it is, and also like, you know, emergency contact, stuff like that. Those are things that are in the works, but currently right now we don't have the capability to tell you exactly how many people we're seeing on Sunday.
Okay. I guess I guess it's more of a concern than a question, is having one staff member at your facility seems
Yes.
like that's a very unsafe situation. And so I know that staffing is hard. I don't know how we fix that problem, but I would certainly like us to try to figure out how we can I think we need to fix that. And getting the count of people is a big deal, because that will certainly help you make a decision on what to do on those days. And then, of course, I think we've answered my question. My other question was can we do 7 days a week? But it sounds like clearly with the staffing, that's not even an option. And so I wonder if that's worth discussing and trying to get to where you can run a 7-day-a-week program, and then having structured events or games on those weekend days that better suit your desire.
I have a question. Well, I know years ago, they had a sign-in sheet. Anybody that walked in there had to sign their name. Maybe we should start doing that again, because I would like to see the age of the kids that go in there. I know there's young kids that go in there that are not supervised. So I don't know, I don't know what the solution is on that, but I think we need to know who goes in there, and I think they need to sign in when they go in there.
Go ahead, Mr. Hooper.
Yes, and some of the things we have talked about is there's some various programmings. We're starting to build a database based on our summer youth program that we can start building on. There's also some programs that we've talked about that we can start tracking. There's certain questions you can ask and certain questions you can't when someone signs in. We've kind of want to implement some policies having to do with if an underage gets dropped off, then the adult needs to drop him off. Then at a certain age, they can't be just dropped off and left. So some of those are all coming into effect. Part of the problem we're having is going back to some of these structured activities. Well, if we can get some structured activities, then theoretically we can generate some revenue that will then help pay for this program, that we can then start tracking people, that will then start helping to generate more revenue because you're creating more programs, which will then go into better equipment, which will then generate more revenue. It's one of them cyclical processes. And to answer some of Jamal's questions too, I think, let's say over the last, and I haven't been here that long. You've obviously been in town longer than I don't know what the clientele has changed in the last 5-10 years. We tend to have more incidents on Sunday and Sunday afternoon, more reports of stuff. So while yes, I think we will get some complaints, I think some of those complaints will be coming from people that want to go act a fool. And you hate to say it that way, but right now we're giving them some free time to go in there. Once the language starts, once the disrespecting starts, all these things, you can't hold anybody accountable because you're open to a free gym. Once we can get some structure and change some things, let's be honest, those guys aren't waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning wanting to go play basketball. They're sleeping in until noon and then wanting to go play. So some of these things that do come into effect, and we're just trying to play on a lot of these different factors, but I don't disagree that we will get some complaints. Hopefully we'll get so much more positive outweighs it.
And I think with I've been in there. I go in there sometimes on Sundays, and so you don't see any city staffing, so no one in the city uniform. There's a guy, and it's like who's wondering who's in charge. The guy that is recognized from playing out there. I haven't been in there in a few months, so I'm this is thinking a couple months back. But there was just a guy sitting there, and he was kind of in charge. And, he was calling on the phone, kind of complaining about the people. So maybe if a legit, someone in a city uniform, I think it would probably shut down a lot of the problems.
That was one of the changes we've made recently, is previously we have some part-time seasonal workers. Previously, they were never given uniforms. I bought them some shirts that have a city logo on it, so now at least they have something to wear, like I say, while you're there. Not a full uniform, but at least something that does say, I'm a city worker, I'm not just somebody telling you, making up stuff. So that has been addressed, and we're working on that. Currently, I believe we're down one rec assistant.
Yes.
A lot of that problem is, how do you say, we're looking for the perfect candidate, knowing that they're never out there. Or, so some of these things go along. So we're trying to look at where we're wanting to go with rec and find someone that can help us fulfill those goals. Like I say, someone that can come in and run a league on a Saturday, someone that's got some experience doing these sort of things. So we're trying to incorporate all that, and we're in the process. I think Tari and I are planning on doing some hirings, some interviews this week. We're also looking at hopefully maybe some of the YRB counselors. Once we get through the summer, some of those might make some good rec people, but we don't want to pull them away from our summer program right now, so we're doing some juggling. And that's always in the process, trying to position ourselves in the best position.
And if y'all recall, we came to you a couple months ago where we looked at our overall organizational chart and where we were trying to take the Parks and Rec Department in general and specifically now to the Rec Department. And so there's going to definitely be growing pains as we transition these processes and we start trying to do more programming, trying to get involved more rather than just having spaces. And so I think this is a sign of that. As we, like Russell said, us trying to hire that correct person for the position and get Tari the staff that he needs to be able to grow those programs. So, and part of that is looking at how we are purposing our spaces and making sure that we're fulfilling them and use them to their best value.
Very good.
And also just utilizing our space. If you have say an itinerary or a schedule for, you have it set out for, it could be the week or the month or whatever the case is. If I give you a lot of time, say for instance, pickleball comes in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They usually come in from 9 until 11. If that's pickleball's time, when you go to the gym, it's pickleball time. So when you start setting up those time slots to say, hey, this is the time we're going to allow for pickup basketball, this is the time we're going to allow for volleyball, this is the time we're going to allow for group X class. It could be Zumba, step aerobics, or whatever the case you want to do. If you have those allotted times set up in there, when you come in and you see a schedule, this is what's going on at that time. So it's not really taking anything away, but just giving it more structure.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Taria, I love the direction that you're going with this, and I'm envisioning kind of some sort of calendar that is put out, the city can put out where you can see, hey, I'm interested in pickleball, or I'm interested in pickup basketball, or I'm interested in volleyball, and you can see the time slots, and it brings, I think, the public, it engages them into the town, into the community, especially people that move here, to be able to see that and then go during that time and meet some people and play some sports, and I love what you're doing, so keep it up.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Go ahead, Claire.
She's going to steal it from me. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, members of the Parks, Recreation and Beautification Committee, I just want to make sure that you knew that we are applying for the Outdoor Equity Grant again. It's going to be in by June 30th for the summer youth program for next year.
Wonderful.
Oh, very good.
And I guess, to follow up, since Claire didn't want to say anything, one of the things we know, we've had some people here come up and ask about pickleball. We have gotten a bid to do the Green Acres resurfacing and painting. We're just kind of waiting for the new year to start, and we're going to get on their schedule to get Green Acres done and get some outdoor pickleball courts.
And they said they'll do it in September.
Yeah, they told me that in May, so I'm hoping that's still in effect, but yeah. Then they'll get into the winter, but so hopefully we should have that in by the end of this year.
Great, so I guess we didn't win any of the grants that we put in for. Okay. Well, we try.
And obviously if we do, then that gives you
Right.
options at that point.
So that's going into Green Acres instead of Hillcrest. I know there was talk at Hillcrest.
Correct. This is a resurfacing. The one that
Okay.
we talked about at Hillcrest was more of a redo
Okay.
or a new, depending on which way you want to look at
So
it.
is the one at Green Acres going to be lined just for pickleball, or is it going to be tennis and then it'll be both?
It'll be lined for everything. There won't be any nets. So if you're pickleballing, you're gonna wind up having to bring your own net. And
Okay.
it won't be netted for tennis, because basically the only way to do that would be to put up the hurricane fence like they're doing, and then that sort of limits some of your cross. But I think we're also doing a 4-court pickleball, if I believe the design, if I remember right.
So why stripe it for tennis if you're not going to put a net up?
Good question.
Because tennis players aren't, I mean, you don't travel with a tennis net.
Right, and there's not a good way to keep one up over there, and
And if there's no, gates, I mean, fencing around it, you can't play tennis either. So I vote we just go with pickleball.
Yep.
And forget the tennis lines.
I second that. And basketball, yes.
Okay. So wait a minute, there's going to be basketball,
But that'll be more the goals on the outside. It's not gonna be painted like a basketball
okay.
court.
Yeah, because you can't play tennis without a net and without fencing. So let's just go all in pickleball.
Unless you're good at tennis.
Oh, no, anybody that's that good.
I don't know, some of them serves, you might not get your ball back.
Okay.
I got a question. Is this gonna be, is it like a sport court, or it just resurfacing the concrete?
It'll be more like a tennis surface.
Yeah,
that-
so they'll
that
fill all the
texture.
cracks. The existing court that's out at Green Acres, if you're familiar with that one by the skate park. And so they'll come in, they'll grind and fill all the cracks, and then they'll come back with that like tennis court type surface.
And so this is September timeframe?
We believe so. You start getting into October, and then you start getting too cold to do it.
Okay.
You gotta have a certain temperature for the paint. And one of the reasons we're going with 4 is because of where some of the main seams are on the original. If we went with 2, that's gonna put them right down the centers of some of the courts, so that way we get in all 4 corners.
Okay, wonderful. That should make the pickleball league happy.
Having contests in no
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I've been communicating with the gentleman from Cannon Air Force Base who's been driving this thing too. He's been helping me.
Okay, wonderful. Anyone else? Thank you, Tari, and thank you, Claire. All right, now my favorite update, the zoo update. I've been loving watching the new Facebook posts on the zoo, and Mr. Lechner, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I did a PowerPoint for this just because it might just be easier just to know what habitats I'm talking about and what animals that I'm talking about. So the first one, it's the next slide, is I'm sure some of you have known we're doing the camel naming rights, the contest. Currently, the number one is Mr. Hooper at $500 for, what was the name?
Go Cowboys!
Go.
Exclamation point.
So if you're not a Cowboys fan, this would be a
That
good time
can't be
to
the name.
scrape up some money.
No.
Jamel the camel, Jamel the camel.
Yeah, so that's, that goes until, it was for 2 weeks, so I believe that goes until the 7th, until July 7th, or July 6th or 7th. It's on the thing, sorry, I forgot to write that down. But we're very excited about that. So the proceeds that come from naming the camel, that's going to go directly right back into the zoo to make some of the improvements that we need to make. So my next slide is, so Russell and I went on to the radio twice this past week. One was to talk about the camel, the other was to talk about things that are coming to the zoo. They're interested in us coming every month and kind of talking about the zoo, what's changing there. So between me and Lisa, we're going to kind of rotate between that just to get a little more information out, try to get a little more buzz going about the zoo, try to get a couple more people through the gates. And then next slide, yeah, so I spend a lot of time talking to our guests that come through the gates during the week to kind of see what they like, what they don't like, what they'd like to see. And something that's very, very common that I always hearing is that we don't have any food at the zoo, which is true. So I created this tiny mini snack stand in the gift shop. It's actually been pretty successful already. This is, it'll be 4 days starting tomorrow, and we sold quite a bit already. So there is a demand for that. This was just kind of like a quick fix. So we have Gatorades, waters, try to get a little bit healthier things with, I mean, we have the chips, which aren't really healthy, but, you know, we have the trail mix and that. We'd like to expand it, kind of toss the idea around a little bit about having maybe food trucks come in on the weekends. So we have a couple areas in the zoo that we identified that might be, good spots. That way we don't have to have more employees actually man any kind of stand, and maybe they just give us I don't know, $150, $200 or something a month to actually park there, or maybe it's a percentage. That's a program we actually really haven't developed much. It's just something that we had just tossed around. Next, the feeder machines. If you've been to the zoo lately, right across the duck bridge, there's a bunch of feeders that were there, and we had lots of geese. We were overrun by geese. But there is an outbreak of avian influenza and cholera that's actually affecting the country. So that is actually passed through naval excretions. It's also passed through fecal matter from water birds, from wild water birds. So a lot of zoos are actually safeguarding their collection animals. So what we did is I had spoke to the lady who has the feeders, so we temporarily removed those. And then on the next slide, you can see that is what it currently looks like now. Those birds are protected, so it's not something that that we can move. But we were just trying to make it a little less enticing for them. They have moved outside the gate, so they are in the park, and they are eating a more natural diet, what they should be, besides cracked corn and whatever else was coming out of the feeders. So it is better for them. And in the hopes that our numbers will actually go lower, and they'll find other areas to actually migrate to. We have had a couple geese that we have found dead. So Game and Fish is actually working with us, and they do test those animals. We just had one last week. I haven't heard if they tested positive or anything like that, but they are working with us just to make sure that our animals at the zoo are safe. Next one is we are looking at getting some shade structures around the zoo, not only for guests but also for animals. So we're just getting quotes right now so we can see how much we have to fundraise to actually make this happen. A couple of the animal ones, we are doing. We have Luis, who's actually been doing excellent work with our fences. He's going to make a couple extra of the shade structures for our zebra and where our camel actually is right now. What else we're working on is I created a couple animal encounter programs, and these are just a couple of examples of it where people can pay to come in and they can meet our camel. They can see the training that we're doing with them. You can go in with the lemurs, our bad-eared foxes, our marmosets. You can do draft feeding. I think there's 2 more slides. They're just a couple examples of what you can do, and that's just to generate some revenue, again, to make some of the necessary changes that we need to make. That is currently with the lawyer right now, trying to get approval, and then once that's done, and then I can present them when they're complete. And then these are a couple things that I don't have slides. I'm happy to announce that we have a new keeper that's coming from California that's starting next week. We had a guy from Texas who just did his site visit today. He accepted the position. So we are reaching out to other zoo professionals across the country, which is something that we really haven't done in the past. But a lot of zoo associations that I'm a part of, we were able to actually advertise through that, and we were able to get these people in just to, help with some of the programs that I want to develop in the zoo, some of the conservation programs, some educational programs. They're very excited to start here. So we're trying to reach out more across the country to try to get some of those people, that, do have zoo experience. And then for our animal updates, we have our drugs came in to do our testing on our eland. So we have 2 of the babies that we've been bottle feeding. They're almost off their bottles. We have the 3 adults that we're going to move out. We still have, I believe, 6 more in those paddocks. So the adults had to go so we can keep our genetics healthy, so we don't have a lot of inbreeding. So those ones are going to be leaving. We're just waiting on the vet. When she has some time, she's going to come and then do the testing. So when those 5 leave, we're be getting these 3 Marcor in from the same place. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think you pronounce it Bernie, Texas?
Yeah, that's correct.
It is correct? Okay. Yeah, so that's where our animals will be going, and that's where the 3 Marcor will be coming from. And then we expect them to be moving out in about 2 weeks. And so they will be up in the front where the camel is right now, and I have a couple updates on where that camel will be going. So for the next slide, it just kind of shows we're finishing up the work on the new fencing that's in the back. We call those I like the pit habitats. So we don't have animals back there right now, but he's just finishing up. He should be done this week. And then the mule will move down, the javelina will move down. All those animals will kind of move down into these newer areas. And then that is going to allow us to actually work on the camel habitat, which I think is a little bit later in there. But our next slide, oh, no, I'm sorry, it is this one. So we're going to take that middle fencing down right there just to give our camel a little bit more extra room. And that's where that other shade structure is going to go in the back. I think this one is a lot better than where he currently is because we do have the trees. We also have, it's kind of hard to see on this photo, but this was an area where a long time ago when they had an elephant at the zoo, this is the area here. So they do have that front area with those really big piping. We do want to keep that. We just want to modify it a little bit so when the camel is full grown, he's about 2,000 pounds. If he is not as nice as he is right now, we do have some protection. If we want to do some nail trims, we want to do some kind of vet work. And it will be up front where guests can actually see that. We can educate them a little bit about what's going on. We can do some keeper talks. So I think that's going to be a really nice place for him. And so the mouflon, so the top right, so there's the babies that we have right now. The bottom is just showing you what they're going to grow into. So they're pretty fascinating animals. But the habitat right there, they're almost ready. We just have to put a little more concrete down. We have to add a little more substrate because these are climbing animals. So once that's done, we hope, within the next 2 or 3 weeks, they will move. They're actually on the side of where the giraffe are right now, but they'll be in their permanent habitat. And I'm almost done, I promise. So our black swan habitat, we are looking at quotes to actually moving that out. One, it'll double the size of that. It's really not going to cost that much because we only really need to buy just a couple of the additional panels and then the concrete footing. And then we'll be able to repair that pool. We're having some issues with the pool right now. And that's going to also enhance the guest experience as well because where that fence is on the bottom right-hand corner, you can kind of see how far away that habitat is pushed back. And the last one, we were approached by the Spring River Zoo and Roswell. They have a beaver that they're trying to place right where we have the alligator that's outside the reptile house. We had moved him in there. You really can't see him at all. Nobody really even knows that he's in there. So we're trying to do a swap where Spring River will take the alligator and then we'll take the beaver and then we'll actually live in that area. Now, is why I think that this is a really good idea is that this beaver will actually follow the keepers around. He's very well trained, and the way that habitat is, there's a gate between the habitat and where the guest is. So there's a fence that goes all the way around. So that would be a really good opportunity to do some educational programming where we can walk him out, and he's still secured on the one side of the fence, but he can be in there with the keepers, and our guests can get a closer look. So we're looking at that, but that's kind of what we've been working on since the last meeting.
It's a lot.
Quite a bit, yeah.
We've been busy.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to ask Mr. Lechner? I would just like to say thank you. Welcome to Clovis. I think you've been a great addition.
Thank
I
you.
love your ideas. I would love to see some sort of, not to add more to your plate by any means, maybe some sort of fall fundraiser for the zoo / showcase to show off all of the improvements that you've made. If you think the fall is a nice time, I'm just thinking it would be cooler. I think all the animals at the zoo are very well cared for, both physically and socially. But I know that there's lots of extras that you would like to provide to the animals. And I think having a fundraiser might, allow you to, raise some funds to get those additional extras that you would like for the animals.
Absolutely. I do agree with that. We are actually looking at the area that's across from the draft. Has a lot of the tables right now has the concrete wall that goes around. If we kind of fix that up a little bit, that would be kind of like a good staging area. But we do want to start having fundraisers. I have these big ideas, and I really don't want it to be very taxing on the city. So I want to have these programs that can help fund those. So as we have fundraisers or as these programs, going in with these animal encounters and things like that, we're looking at changing the animal adoption program, so it's more attainable to pretty much everyone in the community, but there's also there's 4 different steps, so each step is a little more special if it's a tour with me, or if it's one big party at the end of the year, like if you reach a certain step in that. So we are looking at that as well, just to kind of bring in some more revenue as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, very good. I think we are down to the good of the order. Our next meeting will be Monday, July 18th at 5:30. Did you have something to add, Claire?
We do, and I think Mr. Williams had something that we'd like to talk with you guys about.
Okay.
We have Mr. Howell, Mr. Hooper and I have been looking at all the various parks, and in front of you guys, you should each have a report of things that are needed at the 3 parks which Representative Zamora funded with capital outlay. He gave $300,000 for park improvements at Ryerson, at Green Acres, and at Potter Park. And so there's a list there of the various challenges that we have or things that are needed, and there are some photographs also. So we just wanted to start to bring that to your attention, so we can have a conversation about where you would like to go with regard to those parks and what you would like to see done at those parks. I know the way that the capital outlay appropriation was written, I mean, we were initially talking just about playground equipment, but in conversation with Representative Zamora and others, and in inspecting those parks, there are various other things that need doing too. So we'd like to talk about that. Thank you.
So can I ask, would it be fair if we have some time and put this on the agenda for the next meeting so we can each, take a look through this, go to the park on our own time?
Yep, Madam Chairman, members of the Parks Board, most certainly. Thank
Okay.
you. We just wanted to start the conversation, and I think Mr. Williams had some other items that he would like to think about as part of that too.
Yes, like I saw the shade structures, it's really, we have good trees out there around the main field. The 2 newer fields, it's, pretty much wide open. We don't have any shade structures. Mr. Zamora contacted me, and that's something that, we've talked with people, and he's mentioned, throughout the season. So, shade structures, some bleachers. The bleachers that we have are not, they work, but if we could, look at those, and we're open to come to a new meeting at less than 7, or earlier than 7, yeah.
We're very fortunate that we have Representative Zamora, who is so interested in our parks and assisting with the parks. He's been conversing with us about various projects and so on. So thank him for his contributions to the city. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And Madam Chair, our intent is obviously to bring it back to you, but this is what we noticed when we were out there touring. Some of it is stuff that we've already started to work on, started to clean up, et cetera. But as we make these improvements, we're looking for guidance. I mean, if we have X amount of money and we want to start at the top of the list and start working our way down through the list, but we need to know what that list is and what your priorities are versus maybe what our priorities are, et cetera. And so that's really the kind of guidance that we're looking for.
So let me ask, just so we all are on the same page here, if we take this list here, would you prefer us to prioritize 1 through 10, what we see needs to be done first? At each park, or how do you want us to do this for you?
And where I'm gonna go, and yeah, I think we're good with that. I mean, there's either way. I mean, whether you group everything and say, here's your top 10 from all three, or whether you group individually.
Okay.
Either one would be fine. Now, a lot of the little things, I've already gotten some quotes on painting shelters. I've already gotten some quotes on rebuilding some shelters. So a lot of things, haven't done anything on them yet, to be honest, except for getting quotes and trying to get some background. Part of that's the changing of the new year, obviously.
So just to refresh all of our memories, tell us the dollar amount that was appropriated. Was it 300,000?
100,000.
Just so we kind of have that in our head, because, you know, a set of bleachers can cost a third of that.
Set of bleachers costs around 4,500.
No way.
Yes,
$4,500?
yes. That's a 5-row, 21-foot set of bleachers with a backstop. When we had the ones that were stolen out of
Yeah, I thought they were more like
vandalized-
100.
No.
No?
There was $18,000 for 4 sets.
I don't know, must have slept or
Right.
something. I
And,
forgot.
and part of the
You
problem,
and me both.
yeah, part of the problem nowadays is it's probably a $2,000 set of bleachers that costs $2,000 to get shipped here.
Okay.
There's some of that that's going into play too, but the latest quote I got, I want to say in the 4,500.
So the set that's out at Beecham Field right now, to replace that, we're looking at 5,000.
Yes.
Okay.
To be honest, if we're gonna replace them, we probably should put a slab down so we can set it on so it's not getting worn underneath, you know, and some of the other little variables that go into effect. But yeah, you're looking at $5,000.
Or stolen.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can bolt them, whether we
Yeah.
can keep them.
And there was also playground improvements that was included in some of that capital outlay, and the one at Dennis Chavez Park was a
100.
$100,000 playground. And so that would quickly eat into
Yeah, okay.
the budget as well. And then some of the other things that we looked at when we were out there is we have several sets of playground equipment. For example, at Potter Park, there's, I think, 3 different sets. And we don't necessarily need all of that. So, I mean, some of it could be just removing some of that playground equipment, or the areas that are, the playground equipment is still in good shape, actually coming back in with a concrete curb like we did at Dennis Chavez, and then the appropriate fall surface versus the sand that's currently out there. So there may be some modifications that we can make to the existing areas without actually replacing the entire playground in its entirety.
Okay.
And then, Madam Chairman, members of the Parks Board, we could add ADA accessible swings in there, which is one of the things that we were wanting to achieve. So if you had less playground equipment in there, I mean, you have 2 different areas, and you have photographs there that show you the 3 areas that currently exist, but you could have some swing sets in there and make that ADA accessible. Potter Park, actually, interestingly, looking at all the parks, that seems to have the most equipment at their shelters, and you've got a swimming pool, you've got multiple playground areas, you've got everything there, actually.
And I think on the list also, I forget which, to where like the playground at Ryerson, there's one there, the whole thing needs to be replaced.
That would be the one to replace.
The one at Green Acres, there's actually 2 different playgrounds. So we were talking about the front one's in pretty good shape, but we might just replace the back one and then clean the front one up as far as the perimeter and stuff like that. So there's various things that you can look at to where a 2 to 5-year-old playground might cost me $65, $70, as opposed to like the one we did at Dennis Chavez. But then by the time you circle the other one at Green Acres, you're punching it up to $85.
There's some cost efficiencies there.
So,
Do you have some idea of which parks get the most use? I mean, Green Acres, Hillcrest, Ryerson, I would.
Potter Park.
Potter?
yeah, I would think Potter and Hillcrest obviously are our 2 biggest. We don't have a way of tracking numbers though, other than just you drive through and it looks like a good crowd today.
Right. Okay.
And as part of our tours, we obviously went out to Ned Houck Park as well. It's amazing how much playground equipment we have out at Ned Houck Park. I mean, there is a ton of playground equipment at that park.
I agree, there is. Okay, does everybody understand our project?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, well, our next meeting, if nobody has anything else to add, will be next Monday, July 18th at 5:30.
Miss-
We-
Madam Commissioner?
Sorry, Jamal.
I would like to, we are having our Little League District Tournament starting this Friday at 5:30. We'll be hosting everything at Beach and Field, so at Potter Park. We'll have leagues from Portales, Quay County, and the other American Little League. And it'll be the district tournaments to see who can go to the state championship for Little League. So I'd like to invite everybody else out, and so hopefully it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday tournament in the morning.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Thank you, Jamal.
All right. If no one has anything else, we're adjourned.